Hey everybody, I'm Christine Barr, and this is Today Over Tea, where we have real conversations about things that matter. I'm a dancer, businesswoman, traveler, and host. And today we're creating an open-minded space with hopes of spreading awareness and education through similar experiences. I'm going to introduce you to some of the most passionate and knowledgeable people in my life. 2020 is the time to own who you are, reach your highest potential, and just love your life. Because let's face it, we're all going through something, but it's time to evolve as a society. We need to spread more kindness and love for each other and this planet. So let's start the conversation. For those of you who don't know, this is my brother. He's amazing.
That's our master.
That's
yours.
You can't say that.
You just looked at mine.
He's still directing me.
Oh.
No, it's fine. I love it.
Sorry.
You're going to get a little peek into our life and our childhood and everything. Everyone always asks me, oh, is it just you and your brother, or are there more of you? And I feel like when people meet us, they always assume that we're like 2 of like 7.
Yeah.
Right? Do you get that a lot too? And I'm always like, why can't it just be him and me? Like, I think they see everything that we do, and then they assume we grew up like the Jacksons or something.
Yeah.
Like there's like so many of us. I'm like, no, it's just us, and that's enough.
It's that, or it's just like their polite way of keeping the conversation going in society. Like, well, the next obvious question would be, well, are there more of you? Is that your only sibling? Where are you from?
Yeah.
What did you? And it's just like this mundane conversation that happens through everyone. It's just so boring.
Well, that's a great way to start, because that's why we're starting the conversation on things that actually matter. Because how many people are sick of having the conversation of like, oh, the weather, oh, this is happening next year, oh, like they basically just like spit out media articles at me, and I'm just like,
what they read. Well,
what they read.
I understand that a little bit though, because I feel that it's once you are on your topic for the day, like you read something in the newspaper, you saw something online, you saw something on Instagram.
That's like all you think about.
You kind of want to talk about it and to get someone else's opinion to further your opinion. So if you're like, this happened about X, Y, and Z, and then you're like, well, what did you think? And they're like, well, what about this? I'm like, I didn't even think about that. Now my opinion's stronger because now this is into play. But the weather is just like...
How do we keep talking about the weather? Yeah. Well, also, we both live in states. Like, so you're in California.
We both live in states. We do. We both live in a state.
We both live in a state. We both live in states that don't really have a lot of weather. So the conversation of weather for us is so boring. Yeah. Like, we don't need to talk about that. But we both come from, so we were raised in Kansas, where the weather changes every 5 minutes. Yeah. So, and I think that's also why we don't like talking about the weather, because we're so glad we don't live there anymore.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So we had kind of like an interesting childhood. We grew up in entertainment, which is a lot like the Osmonds, the Jacksons, all that stuff, but it was just us. The dynamic was a little bit different.
Yeah. More pressure. Really. Because there's less of us.
Because there's less of us, so we have to make it.
We just have to be better, because it's not like 6 of them to be like, all of you have to be good. And then you can get like under the radar. Like 2 people can usually skeeve under the radar if there's over 5.
That's true. Or you know what they...
Because then they focus on Michael.
I see what you're saying. But you know what's funny is that I was just talking about like culturally. Like I was at a party last night and I was talking to Noel and one of his friends, and he's like, yeah, like we come from big families because, you know, they play the odds. Like one person has to be the smartest one, you know? Like, they're like, if I have 7 kids, at least I'm gonna have 1 golden egg, you know, versus us. It was always, and I wouldn't say it was always a competition, which I think most people think that it is. I think for us, we were always like, how are we gonna do this? Like, even though we both went and did different things in entertainment, I think we were both always like a team. Like we grew up definitely being more of a team, for sure. And so like we would create songs together, we would make up dances together, we danced together, we did all kinds of things. So it was like not like you're better than I am kind of thing. Even though we all were...
It was just different.
It was just different, yeah.
Well, we didn't want to do the same thing.
No, but...
Ever, even after I stopped like doing ballroom dancing, like that's when you thrived in it. That's when you were like, this is my passion, like this is what I want to do. Totally. And then you go for the Worlds and I'm like, not even
You're in a whole different
dancing at all.
zone.
You know, so
totally.
And it's always just happens at different parts.
So our generation is kind of known for having like 3 career changes, and you haven't done that.
Yeah.
You like from the minute you were 3 years old and started dancing to when you learned that you could have a career doing that, whether it be dancing, acting, singing. Like we're just going to kind of lump it all into one entertainment. Yeah. You never veered from that, and it's probably one of the most challenging, if not the most challenging, field to really succeed at a high level in. Because it's really like the 5%. You know what I mean? That's not what ever scared us, though, because our parents and everything, our environment always pushed us. So we never thought it was unattainable. But I think the question is, like, you have obvious challenges, like everyone. But I think even your challenges are even more because you're living in a city, and all these different things that are really, like, working against you. How do you, like, persevere that? And, like, how have you not just decided, like, oh my God, I'm just going to do something different because I'm just over it?
That's more so, I think.
I know that's a loaded question, but you know what I'm getting at.
I as much as like this like sucks for people who are like, I want the answer to that question.
Yeah.
I think it's more so just as simple as like I was just born that way.
Yeah.
As sucky as that's like, well then I wasn't born that way, or am I born that way? Anyone asking that question. I've never been like, well, this is my plan B. Like I just don't have a plan B.
And most people and most parents encourage you to have a plan B.
Go to college or do this. Or like, well, if you want to do this, then you should go to this college for this. And totally. I've just known. I've just always known. And nothing else has ever made me happy. As much as that. Other things have made me happy. Sure. But nothing has made me happy to the point of fulfillment that I feel when I'm working on a show or a movie or writing music or recording in the studio or doing a concert. I've never felt more myself. And that's all we should really be doing in life, is just feeling like who we are individually once we find out who that is. And I just happened to find that at a really young age.
Super young. Yeah.
But it helped with like dad pushing me to get on stage as much as I didn't want to. Like, you
got the experience, whether you wanted it or not.
Yeah. So I could decide later on if I did want to do it. But LA's hard, but it's not. You found a way to act like when I come visit you and I meet your circle of friends and I see like, your part-time gigs, like all the things that you've developed, your gym, your this, your that, your social life. Like, I definitely feel like you, if anything, you wanted to acclimate because you knew that like you were in it for the long haul. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that definitely pushed you to do it on purpose versus like when I lived there, I could already tell that LA was not my thing. So I never even like changed over my driver's license. Like I didn't like do things that were committing me to stay there. All those little things. Yeah. Weigh on your perception of where you're at. All those little things of changing your license plate, updating your address, joining a gym, like, going to classes that you're like, oh, I'm going to be here. Even signing up for a class that's like maybe like 6 to 8 weeks. That's a lot. That's a commitment. They're like, oh my God, that means I'm going to be here for 8 weeks. Even though you sign like a year lease, like, oh my God, I do this for 8 more weeks. You know what I mean? Signing a lease and not just subletting someplace. Signing a year lease. Especially in LA, because everyone's always bopping around and changing careers. But you never fully gave yourself the moment to see if LA was your place. But I do think you can, as a person, know pretty quickly if it is your place. So you didn't really. Because I felt that way when I came to Vegas. Yeah. Like immediately, I was like, oh yeah, this feels totally different. Yeah. And I immediately wanted to like acclimate and find my zone. That's how I felt about LA from Kansas. Yeah. As I was like, this is my place, and I also think there wasn't an option. Since you're still like, you still at that phase where trying to figure out exactly what field you wanted to go to. I only have one field, and there's the only one place in the world for it. Right. So like, even if I didn't like it, like I would have forced myself. Well, and that's what I was saying. There's no way around it. I felt like your mindset was already like, this is my field. This is the place that tells me. It's like people who want to be a lawyer, but they don't necessarily love Harvard. Well, Harvard's the best of it, so I'm gonna go to Harvard. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, but there are places you can go that are going to give you incredible degrees still. True. So yes, Harvard's number one, but if you don't get in, you're not going to Harvard. True. But like, this is like, if you want to be in the industry, like in both of my fields, because I'm not just doing one, I'm doing two. Yeah. And music is the hub of music is in LA.
Sure. So I think you and I, like, we did like growing up in Kansas to the extent of having like the family atmosphere and like feeling like, I think we both talked about if we were to grow up in Los Angeles, I don't think we'd have the same values.
No.
Like we both know that. But what I was going to say is I think what I'm always encouraging people, and I want to know if you do this as well, to always move out of where they were born.
Yeah.
Because I think it's so important, at least once, because I think it's so important to, like my best friend was born in Vegas and she just moved to Philadelphia. And as much as I didn't want to lose her, I'm like, oh my God, but if you were born here, like I can only imagine what you know about this city and how you need to grow.
Yeah.
And I feel like moving somewhere definitely pushes you to grow.
Yeah.
Takes you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
You know, it's the scary part, but it's necessary for life growth.
I think it teaches you something about yourself that you never, I don't think any other instance can teach you what it teaches you to move out.
And be away from your parents.
And be away from parents, family, everyone.
Right.
You know, like, I mean, if you have a cousin in that city or whatever, great. But like the fact that you're not in where you grew up, where like something completely foreign where you're not visiting and like, cool, I actually have to find a job and I have to chill. Like, I don't think anything else can show you those experiences. And you don't necessarily need those experiences. I think to be the best person that I can be, I would say that everyone should do that once, move out of the state that they lived in so they can explore something else.
Or even the country or whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
because if you think globally.
But not everyone cares to develop that part of them.
That's interesting.
Some people are very satisfied with staying there, enjoying that family aspect, getting even closer with their family, finding someone to marry, having kids, getting their family to be able to hang out with their kids constantly. And all life is fulfillment and like being happy. It's all about being happy. And so if they're happy with that,
why not?
That's fine.
Who are we to say? Yeah, no,
we have
totally.
different goals. If they want to be a nurse in Kansas City and they go to KU Med, which is one of the top schools in the entire country, and then they just end up at a hospital at KU, you know, or at any medical center that they're fully doing exactly what they want to do, and then find someone, then their goal is met.
Yeah, Kansas does have a lot of amazing schools.
Yeah.
Even like when I got accepted, I was one of 15 that got accepted into the interior design program at K-State.
Yeah.
And it was the top in the nation when I got accepted that year.
Yeah.
And it's like,
but then the thing
like
is,
2 hours from our house where we grew up. It was crazy.
But
so let's go into, I love this whole phrase of like fake it till you make it, because I feel like I'm the poster child for that. And it's gotten me to do some amazing things in my life. Like I've traveled to some crazy places, like all for free based on the jobs I've been doing and, you know, the people I've connected with that have, you know, taken a chance on me and all of that stuff. But what are your thoughts on that concept of faking it till you make it? Like as far as in our industry, now you can learn things on YouTube. We can do so many things as a millennial now. There are so many opportunities to us. But the concept of if you don't know the skill, I'll learn it. You know what I mean? Like that kind of like learning on the job kind of thing as you go, because you're going to push and push and push. How many movies do we see where they were not perfect for the role, but then there was a perfect opportunity and then all of a sudden they fell into it and now boom. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's just such a crazy thing, but I think it happens more often than people think. And that's just because you're going into an interview and you're going to show them your skills, but at the same time, you're going to kind of over deliver.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's
in today's society, is that a thing? Because the way we're learning through the internet, through
so different.
YouTube, through anything is just very different than learning how it used to be.
Because
you had no access to learn it.
Of course.
There was no way you would have to go to school,
right?
Because that's the person who knew it to teach it to you.
Right.
But now you have like a 12 by 12 LED screen that can teach you the exact same thing that teacher can teach you. So it doesn't mean that they didn't learn the exact same thing and can actually do it better because they learned it on a computer, so they got to do it firsthand in graphic design on the computer instead of looking at this TV and taking a note from what this person once did and is teaching you.
Right, because you're learning. So, we talk about this a lot personally, like between us, about basic life skills that we were raised. And I mean, there was a lot of gaps in our raising, just like anyone, but I do think that we had a very happy childhood. I feel for the most part, like we always had what we wanted. We had 2 parents that loved us. You know what I mean? Like that was definitely the same, and supported us in our dreams. And they taught us basic life etiquette skills. I think we learned that a lot through dancing as well, or just basic things. Like I see parents with kids, and the kids are just like crazy, running around, doing all kinds of things. And I'm like, Mom would look at us and be like we would be in a store. She always told us when we were at the grocery store, like, you see those kids over there? Like we were never like that. And I'm trying to think, like, how did our parents, I mean, they never hit us, they never touched, you know what I mean? It was never, they didn't give us fear in that. It was just kind of a known thing. Like, I don't ever remember having like the sit down, like, you can't do this. But we never would act out in a store. Like when Dad was teaching on the dance floor, we would never run up to him because Dad was working, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how did they manage to give us those basic life skills that now as an adult, we're learning how to not speak out, how to be appropriate in a meeting. You know what I mean? As an adult, that translates into different skills.
So I've thought about this before, just in the past, on finding an answer.
Yeah.
And I think something that we both overlooked, and then I don't know when I realized it, was I don't think kids our age, at that age growing up, went to their parents' jobs as much as we did.
Okay.
I don't think they ever went to work with, like, they went to school and they came home until their parent got home, and then they ate and they went to sleep and then they went to school. Like, we were constantly at one of our parents' jobs. So we saw the...
More so dad.
So we're constantly seeing the adult lifestyle instead of living in our kid bubble. They live in their bubble where they never see the outside world.
And they're playing with their friends.
They probably don't go to the grocery store with their parents because they do it on the way home from work because they have a nanny or they have a whatever. And so they're in this bubble where it's like they get home, maybe they have a little homework, and then they play video games and they watch TV, and then Mom and Dad is home from Neverland. Like, where would they come from? They don't know what their work looks like. And they have that, like, one day a year, like, take your kid to work day.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my gosh. And then, of course, that day is glorified. That day is like,
it's not real life.
The kids here, oh my gosh.
Let's all be on our best behavior.
Let's all there's candy at work. And they're like, oh my God, it's grown up playground.
Right.
Like, and so we constantly going.
There's candy at work.
Yeah, they've never had candy. And then for the kids coming to work day, they have candy.
That's hilarious.
So for us going and like him being like, sit there for an hour because I have to work. Do not move.
Do your homework.
And so, you know, we're seeing the environment of like, the administrative assistant doing her computer work and then greeting people and seeing even just how she's, hi, welcome in, how can I help you today? You're like, okay, that's how you do that. Like, you don't realize you're picking up on that.
But subconsciously you are.
But you're like looking at her like, wow, she's talking to a lot of people and she's really nice. Like, I should do that when I get older. Like,
yeah.
And
that's so interesting. I never even thought about that.
Yeah. And then also just like when he runs a studio like that, also being that industry, having been a dance studio, you have so many social events and parties.
Right. I just remember
New
like
Year's.
always being introduced to like the older students and like, this is Martha Ann, you know, like this is Dolores, you know, and we would always have to just be appropriate.
Yeah,
like,
and we would get the talks.
Things.
Dad would be there because it's his studio, and then we get the talks from Mom on the way over there. Like, you have to be on your best behavior. Like, this is Dad's job. Like, this is what he does for a living, and you have to like say hi and respect all these people, and don't slouch, and don't put your hands in your pocket, and don't chew gum.
But it was never let me ask you this though. Hearing that now, I'm like, oh my God, that sounds like miserable. But it wasn't.
No, like it was still fun because it was.
We didn't feel like Mom was like lecturing us.
It's because we weren't going into Dad's job that's a lawyer. We're going to Dad's jobs where he's a professional dancer. It's like...
So it's fun.
It's fun. And like everyone... Think about this. Everyone in that environment, because he's a dancer and not a lawyer, is going there on their free time. So they want to be there. Yeah. You're not going to a job where he's a lawyer and all the lawyers hate their jobs.
That's true.
So the energy in the room is just like, holiday Christmas party, great. Nice to see you, Bob. Like, It's like no, like all these people, they're about to
Yes.
see a huge show. They have a huge
Right. They've paid tickets to
they've
get
paid
to
tickets
come
to
here.
come
They're excited.
to a buffet and then
Yeah.
watch a show, and then all these people, that's like what they look forward to all year. So you're seeing all those people
That's true.
in their favorite night, in the best
Yeah.
light, wearing their best clothes, feeling so confident.
And we were like the first family of the studio.
Yeah.
So we always had to
so
like, we were
everyone
at the
came and said hi.
Everyone came, said hi. We had to say hi to everybody. We were like sitting at
Yeah.
the head table. We were like, you know, behind the scenes doing
Yeah.
the show, that kind
But
of
this
thing.
even like, the fact that we were going to Dad's work.
Yeah.
All those people are paying for dance lessons in their free time because that is their passion. That is their hobby
That's
that takes
true.
them away from their work. So he actually had a great job. Like, that's a great job being a dance teacher where
That's true.
you're bringing joy to someone's life that is really stressed out.
Yeah.
So when we go to work with him and we see these students come in, they're
They're
so
happy.
happy to be
Yeah.
there. So we never saw like work as a negative connotation.
That's a good point.
We always saw, oh my gosh, this is great, this is fun, and all these people coming in and they're so happy and they leave with a smile and it's like,
Yeah.
this is great.
I want to know, honestly, what you feel, because I think the coolest part, like, I'm 4 years older than you. And I think what I've learned in the last, I would say...
5 for 6 months out of the year, so
Yeah, whatever.
6 and 6.
Yeah, I would say what I've learned the most in the last 4 or 5 years about myself and about our relationship is that we've always been super close, but you have easily given me a lot more advice recently, because you've come into your own so much more in the last few years. Just on everything, whether it be relationships or social life or working out. You've been giving me a lot of advice on that because I just started that journey this year. And you turned into a beast. But what a cool thing to be addicted to, you know, like
Yeah.
that's just awesome and so super healthy. I think that's just the athlete in all of us. But but I guess the thing is that you're so socially aware of what's going on. I think LA is kind of that culture for sure. But what do you think is something that you wish more people talked about out loud? Because, you know, there's always that, like, don't talk about this, don't talk about that, you know, don't offend anyone. Well, if we had a conversation like what we're trying to do, where there's no judgment, there's no, I'm trying to convince you to think like I do, we're just gonna, like, put everything out on the table and hear each other out. And like you said before, that's an opinion I never thought of. And now all of a sudden it's, you know, the conversations we were talking about, like the media,
Yeah.
and how someone comes up to you and wants to discuss the day, and that helps them to formulate a new opinion.
Yeah.
So what do you feel like the conversations that everyone's avoiding, especially in today's world, that we talked more about? Or is there something that you're just like, man, I wish this was just more discussed?
Well, people are pretty vocal in my city, more so than others.
True.
So I would say my answer to that isn't going to answer it that much, but my answer to that would be more so I wish that people would feel the need to not have to people please as much. I wish that people did not need the small talk.
Right.
That we can be we could be acquaintances and friendly, but I don't need you to ask me how I'm doing if I haven't seen you in a month, because we don't talk or hang out. And everyone feels that, like, you know, you're out at an event or at a dinner, and those are a little different, both of those things. But like for an example, I went to a gallery opening, and I saw a friend that I haven't seen in a while, and they were like, oh my gosh, like, I really want to catch up with you. Like, can we please get dinner? Like, can we grab dinner sometime soon? And that's probably like the 4th time they've said that, like over the course of like 4 months that I've seen them out, and we never got dinner. So obviously after they leave that night, they're not putting any effort into actually wanting to see how I'm doing. So I just wish
if
that
you
they
reached
didn't
out
feel...
to them, they'd
Yeah,
probably
for
be
sure.
like, yeah, but they're not going to make the effort to call you.
No, but they're the one who said it.
Funny.
So
yeah.
I just wish that people didn't feel the need to have to feel that they needed to people please and feel that I
like
feel
we should get dinner.
Yeah.
Because
And I told him, I was in a very truth moment, I guess, that night, and I told him, I said, you know, you don't have to say that. And he was like, what? And I was like, you I was like, it's okay. I was like, I'm totally fine with you being a friend that I just see out at events and we catch up right now, even if it's for a minute. How are you doing? How's your gallery? What's new? What's your favorite piece in this gallery? That's fine.
That's it. Let's move on.
But I don't need you to give me a false
Let's get dinner.
I don't need a
Right.
false promise or a false plans that you're making that you know we're never gonna get dinner.
Interesting.
And I said that.
Do you know how many people do that though?
Yeah.
Like even in
Oh, okay.
corporate work
Can we
environments.
please hang out soon? Can we please hang out? It's like, no, like we're not gonna hang out because I have a core group of friends and I have a job. And I'm not like, what are we gonna do? We're gonna hang out.
Family and life and holidays
Yeah.
and things happen. Yeah.
So there's no point in that. And it really annoys me when people are like, let's please hang out soon. And I'm like, no, let's not, because we're not going to. So
Right.
just say, it was great seeing you tonight.
Interesting.
That's it. It was really great seeing you tonight. Hope to see you around soon. That's fine.
Yeah. It reminds me of that movie, The Invention of Lying.
Yeah.
Do you remember that where they always have to be truthful?
Yeah.
So they just don't say, like you said, they don't people please, I guess is a way to say it, but they just don't say what they think you want to hear.
Yeah.
They're saying, no, I really don't
And
like you and I don't want to see you again. No, I mean,
Yeah,
like, you know,
and maybe-
it doesn't have to be like that. That's so, I mean, there's a nice way to say it.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, oh my God, it's so good to see you. Like, you know, enjoy the gallery. And then you just kind of move on.
Yeah.
You know, or whatever.
And he actually took a step back and he was like, wow. When I told him, I said, we can be friends that see each other out and catch up here.
Yeah.
We don't need to make these plans that we're not going to make.
Right.
And he was like, wow, like I really like that. And I was like, but that's what
Can you
we
imagine
are.
the pressure that you took off of him by just
Yeah.
saying that?
And so now we've seen each other out and there's no, because I would get like a random text every 3 months. Can we hang out soon?
And do what?
And do
Right,
what?
right.
And
why?
and why? And why wouldn't you just text me, are you free Saturday? Instead of, can we hang out soon? An open-ended text that's never going to go anywhere.
Right. So what you're saying is instead of them making the actual plan,
They'll talk about the
they're
plan.
making a plan to make a plan.
Yeah, no, they just like to talk about
They
the
talk
plan.
about the plan.
That's never going to happen. To
Interesting.
feel that they're still connected to that person. That doesn't mean the connection goes away. If you stop saying, let's hang out.
No. And if you really want to hang out with that person, if you feel like you need to be connected, just say, hey, are you free Saturday? Just like you said.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Like, I see that a lot. And I've been getting a little bit more in people's faces. Some people, I can tell the people that wouldn't be able to handle that answer.
Right.
And I'll just go, sure.
Right.
But the other people, I'm like, we don't have to hang out. Like, it's okay. Like, it's really good to see you tonight. I hope to see you again. But, like, let's leave it at that. Like, it was nice catching
Right.
up just now. We just caught up.
Right.
This is what we were going to do over coffee. So we
Right.
just did it.
What else do we need to do? Yeah.
Like, so then that's what I call people who are right now friends. That's why I call them right now friends. So they're friends in that moment. We're not mad at each other. They're not my friend. If someone asked me, I would say, yeah, that's my friend. That's a friend of mine.
Right.
But we're right now friends. So we
Yeah.
see each other. And in that moment, we talk about what we're doing right now. How are you enjoying the gallery?
Funny.
How do you like this painting? Which one is yours?
And we all need people like that because
Yeah.
when you're at a gallery,
That's most people.
if you don't know anyone,
It's just an acquaintance. But like,
right. But I'm saying
they're
if you
more
don't
than an
know
acquaintance
anyone,
because you-
it's someone that you can gravitate towards and be like, oh, hey, I know you, and you guys
Yeah.
can talk in that moment,
And
not feel like you're alone at the event if you came by yourself.
yeah.
You know, I mean, that's an interesting way
Yeah.
to look at it.
But people would be like, well, that's just like I said, an acquaintance. And it's like, no, because they're a friend because I have
Some history.
hung out with this person.
Yeah.
We have gone to parties together. We have gone to coffee, gone to dinners. We just don't do it anymore. Or we haven't for a while. And so it's like, you're a right now friend. So they don't know much about my history. They're right now in my life. But they never taken the interest of sitting me down. Tell me about your family. Tell me about how you grew up, blah, blah, blah. That's like
Yeah.
that's like a best friend, you know?
Sure.
Um,
But that's an interesting segue
Or
to go
close friend.
into.
Because you're so right. Like, people kind of come in and out of your life in phases.
yeah.
And the big thing of we're about to hit 2020, which is a new decade, a new year. People are like, oh, you see all these memes on social media, like, I'm cleansing people from my life. All the toxic people are leaving. And whether it's toxic people or it's just people, like you said, that they're just kind of there, but are they really adding value to my life? You know what I mean? How do you feel about, what are the steps that you take? Do you feel like you need to kind of sometimes clean house in your social life?
And the
Yeah.
reason I say that is because you're someone who's like actually like moving the needle in your career, and the stages of your career that you're taking are going to require you to have a smaller and smaller group.
Yeah, actually, it's funny. I
You
just
know
talked
what
to
I
a friend
mean?
about that on the couch the other day. I was having a so cleansing the friends. I don't think it's funny because people just do they come up with these things. I'm gonna cleanse this and it's gonna be great in the new year.
Right.
And I can't stand when people just wait for
The new year.
no, just use an excuse to wait. Any excuse to wait. I'm gonna do it then. I'm gonna do it this time. When I hit this, I'm gonna do this. And it's
do
like,
it now.
why are you giving yourself a goal to set a goal? Like, it doesn't even make sense. It's like, why do you need something to motivate you to do something that you're about to do?
Just do it.
Just do it.
Right.
If you don't want to hang out with someone, just stop hanging out
Nike
with them.
said it. Just do it.
Yeah. Like, if you, and if you feel the need to text that person and say, hey, I no longer want to be friends. I just want to let you know that. Or you can just like
Because then it's just trailing each other along for
Yeah.
what? Like you're wasting. I feel like the energy in today's world, we're so driven and motivated to be like, I'm trying to not be distracted. We
Yeah.
have so many distractions in life today that it's necessary to almost keep some blinders on.
I had an instance last year about this time, a little earlier, like November, where I had 3 people in my life that I was just like, these are just not friends.
Right.
They're not people that I want to hang out with. They don't respect my opinion, and they are disrespecting me multiple times. And so one was a pretty close friend. So I did want to give them the respect of saying, the last conversation we had, once again, you did not take my advice, and my advice is coming from a place of love because we are friends. So if you're just never going to take my advice, I don't see the reason for us to be friends anymore. And they were like,
Because we're not adding value to each other anymore. Right.
no, now it's becoming so surface that I don't want to put effort into this when I could be putting effort into something way, way more. And then they left, right? They moved away, came back about 5-6 months later, 4 months, whatever, and ran into them on a whim. And they were like, wow, I would really love to hang out. I'd love to catch up. I'm back permanently. Is that, are you free this week? And I said, I meant what I said. Like, I'm not looking to catch up with you. I'm not looking to hang out. I hope you had a great time on your trip. But I stand by what I said. I don't really want to be friends.
And what did they say?
And they said they were a little taken back, and they just said, okay. They were shocked. They said, okay. They turned around and they sat down.
I mean, because I think that's the thing. I think a lot of people are used to being
yeah,
lied
sure,
to.
let's do it.
Being lied to.
But if I'm going to preach it, I'm not going to, if I'm going to say that, can people stop being fake,
Talk
then
the
I'm
talk,
not going to
walk
do
the walk, yeah.
it. Yeah, there's another person who I feel disrespected by, and I didn't think that we need to be friends anymore, and I just stopped messaging them. And then they just didn't message me, so I could tell that they didn't lose anything,
Yeah.
And so I could tell, like, I was putting too much effort into the friendship, and they didn't
That's
care.
the worst.
Yeah, so, cutting people out of your life. Yeah, I mean...
Well, because segueing into your career.
Yeah.
Like, right? So let's talk a little bit about, what you're doing. You're now, you were raised, in entertainment. You grew up dancing. We would go to dance studio after school. You did ballroom dancing for a while. You got into hip hop. You've been doing that your whole life. Singing, all of that stuff. Acting. You were in like all the plays in high school. And so now you're in LA and you're going on how many years?
8.
8 years.
I'm going on 9. I've been
Going
there
on
for
9.
8.
So you've been there for 8. So usually that's when, people say it takes about 9 to 10 years to really like settle in. I think you told me that. And you've had things along the way. Like you've gotten little things here and there and all that stuff. And, this year was really good for you. You've gotten a lot of different things going on. And you've released a lot of your music. Like your music's now out, which we'll link below because it's awesome. But like the next 2 years is going to be like crucial in like the leap. I think it's going to make it's really going to move the needle.
Yeah.
How do you feel like your personal life or your day to day is going to change? Or what do you even want to change? Like, what are you excited for?
I'm excited to not have free time. I don't like how much free time I have. I just really like working. I really like, like if you love what you do, you're not working. So I really love.
You want to be busier.
I want to be busier. I want to be being busier at the caliber that I have been this year,
it's been
and
a
then
good year.
keep going
Yeah.
with that. I have the opportunity to go to the gym 6 days a week and go out 3 to 4 days a week to a bar, to a club, and hang out with friends. And I'm growing amazing friendships with these, some really close friends now. But I don't need to go out ever. I'm fine with going out 0 days a week and having a drink when I get home before I go to sleep. Like, that's like, I don't need to go out and dance. And I did that, earlier in life. And so, yeah, I mean, my group of people around me obviously will for sure get smaller, and everyone will come out of the woodworks. I've already seen some of that happen, and you kind of see who doesn't judge you, and who doesn't change. While you're
What do you mean doesn't judge you?
Doesn't judge you with. With music, I've created this, persona, and with acting, when you get more successful, they start becoming judgmental because they feel like they need to give their opinion, or they're jealous or whatever, and you just quickly see that. So there are either two things: they become obsessed with you because they want something from you, or they get mean because they're jealous. So you just see which way, and if someone stays completely neutral and they're just still the same person with you, and it doesn't matter that you're now Spider-Man in Spider-Man, like, then they're just like, oh, then they really don't care, and they're just hanging out with me because I've created a good friendship.
Right.
But if all of a sudden they're coming up with all these things like, well, you just really don't talk to me anymore, and it's like, well, I work a lot. I'm trying to.
They need attention.
And, they need attention. They need to feel validated. They need it, it's like, definitely don't lose the friendship and like put effort into it still. But some great advice I got is, if they genuinely are selflessly happy for you and your success, they're never going to get mad at you for working.
Oh. Yeah.
They're not.
Because that could apply to
They're going to be like, oh my God, I know how long you've wanted this. I know you. That's the point. They should know you.
Right.
I know you and how hard you've worked and how bad you want this. Mm-hmm. How can I get mad at you because you didn't text me back?
Right.
You're working.
Yeah.
You're living your dream. I can only respect and support that. And if someone gets mad or
it's almost like they're using that though, like, who cares how many people don't text each other back? You know what I mean? But it's almost like they use that
you're
as
not making an effort to hang out. It's like, well, if you look at a broader spectrum, I can't hang out with anyone.
Right.
Like, because I haven't been in the country for 4 months. So like, unless you're trying to come to this place to film this movie with me, there's no way I can physically hang out with you.
Right.
So it's like a friend of mine just got a TV show on CW, and she left for 8 months to shoot the show in Atlanta. And she's a great friend, and she lived in LA, and I haven't seen her in 8 months. And I'm just so happy that she's living her dream. I would have been like, I can't believe you haven't seen me. And we haven't seen each other since she's been back. And I'm not like, I can't believe that you got back and didn't call me like immediately and like want to hang up. No. She went straight to another film.
Or she's acclimating to just like real life again.
And I'm like, you're like doing great. And she texted me, she's like, you come to Atlanta if you want. You can stay with me. We can hang out. And I didn't have time. I didn't, And I was like, we'll see each other when you're back. Like a real friend is gonna be like, did you see this? I'm so proud of you. Like, your hard work's paying off. People are noticing. Instead of like, wow, cool. Don't have time for me anymore. It's like, you're making the situation about you.
Yeah.
And
it's not about you.
Yeah, no, totally. No, that's good advice. I think just relationships in general. I think definitely that's the conversation we need to be having more going forward, is about how to build healthy relationships.
And I also think people like to hold on to their relationships. Mm-hmm. And I think it's healthy to know that
when to let
people
go.
grow apart.
Well, exactly. That's what I was saying. Like,
very
how do you feel about the next chapter? And I think people are growing apart faster and faster.
Yeah. Well, people's attention spans are getting shorter and shorter.
True. And I don't think people want to accept that. Do you remember when we first moved to LA and we were like, oh my God, we can't make a friendship last more than 4 to 6 months. What's wrong with us? We thought something was wrong with us.
Well, yeah, because you grew up in the Midwest, and so.
Oh my
growing up
God,
in
and
the
we still have
Midwest-
friends like that we go back and see in the Midwest. I mean, who did you just see? Your
Yeah,
two friends that
friends.
you've known for over 10 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And more than that, because you're going on 10 years in
15,
LA. You have
yeah.
15 years. And same thing. Like, I have girls now that are going to be in my wedding
Mm-hmm.
that I've known, same thing, 15, 20 years. And I'm like, when we, understanding the next phase of our life when we move out. And I don't think it has to do with like California or Vegas. I do think that the culture is a little bit different for sure. But I do think that it's also the time we're living in.
Yes, for sure. But I do think it's really healthy. Change is really healthy.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we were talking earlier about moving to a different city.
Right.
And I think you get comfortable with people just as much as you get comfortable in your space.
Yeah, so you need to constantly reevaluate, are you guys benefit or giving each other value?
Yeah. I don't think purge your friends because I need new friends and let's get a change and that's healthy.
Right.
But like if someone, you've been friends with them for 5-6 years and then you're like, we just get on each other's nerves all the time. We're not, getting along. We don't really invite each other to do things anymore. It's like, it's okay to not go up to the next
we're getting
person
really
you see.
negative around
Yeah,
each
it's
other.
okay to go up to the next person you see and not call them your best friend anymore. It's like, as hard as that is, it's like, we learned so much from each other.
Right.
We had an incredible friendship, we still do, but...
Like boyfriend, girlfriend, that kind of thing. That they're always evaluating and saying like, oh, I learned from that. That made me a better person. Or it was really toxic. I got myself out of that, but I got through the challenge.
Yeah.
But I don't think people do that enough in their friendships.
Or even in their family, because
Yeah.
they're like, well, I'm stuck with these people.
Yeah.
Like, that's the
Ooh.
worst. And my life changed when I saw the Oprah thing about toxic relationships. And she said, to purge certain people. But she said, what if those people are your family? How do you do that? You can't just get rid of someone. And it's not like you want to, but it's about limiting what comes into your space.
It's not about getting rid of them, it's about
No.
distancing yourself.
Yeah, boundaries.
Yeah.
It's healthy boundaries. And I wish that I want moving forward for more people to start the conversation about healthy boundaries in relationships.
Specialty. Like, what is it that you want to do? Find people doing that.
Yeah, don't do a general.
Yeah, don't go to school for, what did they call it? Undecided. Right?
Yeah.
I remember when like people like Gary Vee and all them, they're all
a
like
business degree.
They're like, you go to school for undecided? What does that even mean? You're just sitting here like giving the government money so that you can figure out what you want to do? Like,
I think the best
it'd be cheaper to backpack through Europe.
I think the best advice for sure would be if they're trying to figure it out, don't rush. Let yourself figure it out before you just start entering college because you think it's what you need to do. And
Because
then when
that's
you
where you're
figure out
gonna
what you need
stack up
to
the
do, you could really, because then you're going to go to school for 3 years and be like, this is what I want to do. And then realize you have a 4-year degree ahead of you.
Right.
Instead of just waiting those 3 years, saving up a lot of money, going to work,
Right.
getting a job
'Cause you
somewhere.
could still be
and then
working,
being
doing
like,
stuff.
this is what I want to do. And then instead of,
Oh, you're going to feel so much more fulfilled that way.
instead of 7 years in school, you're there for 4, like you're supposed to. And you're less debt.
Right.
And you're sure.
Yeah. And you're happy once you get out with what you did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think people are also scared that if they pick one, that they're stuck with it.
That's true. Are they still? Because I feel like we change our minds, our generation,
I think
like
people are.
every 5 minutes.
I think that's why they never commit,
Yeah, we don't want to buy houses anymore. We don't want to...
Well, just like doing a job. Like, oh, well, if I do this, well... It's like, well, if you do this, then if you don't like it, you can leave. But they like, well, then they're going to train me and and I feel bad. And it's like, no, you're not going to know if you don't want to do it unless you do it.
Right. Well, I think the big thing is committing is like, if you go to school for 4 years and then you get a
Well, that's
degree and then you
different.
get, you kind of have to commit to stuff like that.
Yeah.
But other things, it's like figuring out what you like to do, what you're good at, and try to merge those together and make it something that you're going to be enjoying doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for...
Cheers. Cheers. That was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. The tea.
tea.
That was good.
Not the conversation.
No.
Like, do you feel like this is necessary in today's world with... I mean, we could talk about everything. I told you I don't want to talk about politics,
Yeah.
but people need to talk more.
Yeah. I mean,
Like, about real stuff.
I've been wanting to I wanted to relay the information to more people about the whole not people pleasing and not
Yeah.
telling them about small talk and not saying that. So like, I've been trying to put that in my everyday life and telling people it's okay if we don't hang out. You know that, right? So I'm happy that I had an outlet to say that on. For sure.
Oh, that's, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad I could do that for you.
Thanks.
I keep telling people that when they ask me what inspired you to do this podcast, I said, you know, I'm kind of just sick of explaining myself to people.
Yeah.
Like,
Just watch my show.
it's just like, we live a different life, and we
Yeah.
live as, you know, we're constantly doing different things, and it's like, I don't know why I have to constantly explain, like, why I do something different than you do it.
Yeah.
Because then people get judgy.
Yeah.
And it's like, why can't I just be me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's the thing, is that the idea is, I'm not telling you, watch this podcast and then think like I do.
Yeah.
I'm saying, watch this podcast, figure
your
out what
opinion.
you
Yeah.
think is right, and then share your opinion with the world.
Yeah. I like it.
Okay.
It's good.
Cool.
Good job.
That's a wrap.
Thank
Thank you.